Welcome to Celebrity Interviews with Paul. I have with me today Krista Ewbank, who is, let me read it so I get it right, the founding artistic director of Open Book Theater Company, Trenton, Michigan. Welcome, Krista. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How is life in the pandemic?
Oh, well, a friend of mine the other day asked me how I was doing, and I said I was doing well. And she said, well, is that COVID well or, normal times well?
Right.
I said, well, COVID well, I didn't feel like I wanted to cry today. So we're doing pretty good. Overall, I'm doing all right. We're happy and healthy but it's hard. It's for everybody. It's hard, but overall we're doing pretty good.
Good. Well, we're here to talk about Open Book Theater Company, founding artistic director and all. Where did it come from? What does it do? What's the vision of Open Book Theater Company?
So Open Book Theater Company, I started it. We had our first season in September of 2014 is when we got started. And I founded it. There were sort of several things going on. One was I wanted to be able to work closer to home. There wasn't any professional theater really happening downriver, which is where I call home. Okay. And I wanted to work on theater that I was excited about. One of the things about being somebody for hire is a lot of times you end up doing shows or working with people who maybe you wouldn't have chosen.
Sure.
And I wanted theater that was part of my community and that responded to the community that I was in. And so started the theater company in 2014 with sort of those sort of swirls of things that, I got a board of directors and we're a not-for-profit. And I had a mission statement that was like 6 paragraphs. No, it wasn't 6 paragraphs. It was like 6 sentences long because, you have all these ideals when you're starting.
Right.
But I worked with my board a couple years ago, and we whittled it down to something that I think encompasses what Open Book is about and what we do. And so now our mission statement says to promote connection through theatrical storytelling. And I think that whittles it down really well, because to me, that's what theater at its best does. It brings people together in the same space. And there's a connection that's created through that live performance, both with the artists that are creating it, with the audience. There's, studies that show that the audience breathes together and their heartbeats regulate at the same time when they're together in the same space. I'm sure that's true for churches too. It's that group. Right. It's important to be connected to other human beings.
Right.
And so that was sort of the founding principle of what we are trying to do as a theater company is create that connection and help people connect with each other and all with themselves too, with what the big questions of life,
Right. Well, I know this summer you came out to my church, Lutheran Church of the Master in Troy, and we hosted a performance of the year. They canceled everything in our parking lot, socially distanced, bring your own chair, wear a mask, all those good things. And it was fabulous. People had a great time. It was kind of nice to, even though it wasn't exactly normal, it felt normal. So they're calling for snow this afternoon as we talk. I think it was going to be a high in the mid 30s. How's parking lot performances going for you guys? Booking a lot of shows these days?
Yeah, no, we're not doing any of those shows. So you're right, we started this, we called it Driveway Theater, and we started doing it at the end of June, and we did it all the way. Our last performance was the middle of October.
Okay.
When we realized we weren't going to be able to have people in our building for a while, we went back to that, to what our mission was. And we said, all right, how do we do that now? And it was sort of, for me, it was sort of a mixture of, like singing telegrams, right? Where somebody knocks on your door and sings you order them to come, and they come and they do this. And traveling theater wagons of back in the day, they would go from town to town and put on a show. I said, well, how can we take theater out to people and do it, like you said, in your parking lot with socially distanced, a fairly small, I think you had, 30 or 40 people there that day?
Must have been 120. No, whatever. No,
definitely
40, 30, 40 people, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I wrote it down. I kept numbers of what we did. We hired actors who lived together so that they could perform and rehearse and not have to worry about risk of infection.
Sure.
And we took theater out, and that was really, it was really neat. Like you said, it was a bit of normal in your parking lot. You know, people
Right,
got to gather
right.
together and see each other and enjoy a show. We
So
commissioned
what do you
playwrights
do
to write them.
now? You commission people to write them?
Yeah, we did. And like you said, the one that you had was 2020, the year they canceled everything, which everybody
Right.
could relate to.
Absolutely.
We all were sort of feeling that, and it brought people together. But you're right, we can't do that right now. So we have two things going on at the moment. We have a virtual theater thing that's actually, it's very much like what we're doing right now, except that it's a written play. So it's done on Zoom, and it's one person performing to one audience member, and they're doing it live, and it's 10 minutes. And so it gets that sort of live interaction, or commissioning plays for that. But what really,
that seems
what
like,
launches,
when I hear about that sounds like as an audience member, there's an intensity to that that's intimidating.
yes. I've had some people say, I just can't do it because the pressure on me is too much.
Yeah.
I feel, we tell people, you don't have to, all you have to do is be a listener. That's all you have to do. And you're not, it's just to sort of create that energy, and that, you're not expected to perform or to do anything. And a lot of people have done it and said, oh, that was really interesting. I felt connected in a way I didn't expect to feel connected. Somebody said to me that it's the only time in a Zoom meeting where she never looked at herself.
Okay.
She said she was engaged the whole time.
Right.
So people have found that once they've done it, it's not as intimidating as they expected it to be.
Well, that's good.
That is a common concern from people.
Yeah, there's a bar to step over.
Yeah.
So what kinds of plays are you doing for that? What are do you have any titles?
So we've done 3 so far. The first one was called What Matters, and we commissioned a woman who lives in Detroit, a Black woman who lives in Detroit, to talk about racism in Detroit. Okay. And believe it or not, it was a really uplifting piece. It was about a woman who sort of had some revelations as she was going on a walk through the neighborhoods of Detroit and thinking about the changes that Detroit has been through in a very hopeful way. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
In October, we did one that was called The Influence of iPoppy, and it was about a Latina Instagram influencer, which is a world I didn't know much about. And she, was doing a live Zoom with her followers, and she starts revealing a little bit about herself and her history while she was doing a Halloween makeup tutorial. Okay. And then our last one that we just closed last night was called What Brought Me Here. And that was somebody leading an Al-Anon meeting. And that was a really interesting, as if he was leading a meeting over Zoom. And that was a really interesting piece.
Like, that's very meta.
Yes, there's a lot of layers to it. So the piece we're working on in January is still, well, all the pieces we're working on in the future are still sort of under development, and we're tweaking scripts. But the January piece, I think it's going to deal a little bit with homelessness during COVID. Okay. And then in February, we're a change of pace. It's called Love Space. And imagine,
go figure.
Yeah. But imagine a captain on the deck of a spaceship that is under attack, who is making a sort of a last ditch love phone Zoom, whatever connection to somebody else on another ship. So that one's going to use some fun Zoom backgrounds and have a little bit more of a sci-fi edge to it. And they're under attack, and you can hear the people making their way to the bridge, and this person, yeah.
So what have you learned in the pandemic through the theater that when life gets back to whatever the new normal is in 2021 or 22, whenever we get there, how will open book theater be different because of this?
Well, one thing that we have had to do is really focus in on what is our mission and how do we serve the community? Okay. How does the work we do serve the community? And so, we've been putting on seasons of 5 shows for 5 years. We were in the middle of our 6th season, and that's great. But we have had to take a look and go, okay, what is theater capable of doing, and how can we use the resources we have and the gifts we have to serve our community? Because we're not just here to make money. We're a not-for-profit, and so we're mission based. Driveway theater, I think, is something we are going to keep around.
Okay.
It was our actors really enjoyed doing it, but the thing we found is that it brought community together in a way that's very different than bringing them to our building. We went to people's backyards, we went to church parking lots, we went to park pavilions, and often we were the outsiders coming into a community that's already there, you know, a church congregation or a senior group. Or, you know, a neighborhood or a family. We performed for, you know, 3 generations in somebody's backyard one day. So we were sort of coming together and giving community a way to come together. So we're already talking about how can we use this not only to bring entertainment and fun shows, but how can we use it to address, you know, maybe issues of social justice or you know, issues of mental health, or how can we dig a little deeper and create shows that go into the community, maybe even develop it into something that we take into schools once that's a thing that can happen again.
Right.
So it was fun to discover, you know, we've been talking, how can we create sort of more of an outreach program that uses theater in a different way? And we sort of stumbled upon this cool way of doing it out of necessity, out of we need to do something. So I think that will come with us, you know, plus all the lessons we learned having to, I had never commissioned a play in my life, and I have now produced 5 commission plays, you know, in 6 months. I've never, you know, I'm learning every day.
So tell me about Zoom with Santa.
Zoom with Santa is what we are doing, launching this Friday. And Zoom with Santa came to us and said that, you know, he knew he wouldn't be able to see children in person over the holidays, but asked us to help him Zoom. And so we are Santa's open book elf liaisons, and we are helping to connect Santa to children. And so basically the idea is, you Zoom in and have 5 minutes, your child has 5 minutes with Santa, and they have an actual conversation with Santa. We get some information from the adults about the child. In addition to their name, you know, we find out a little bit about siblings and pets, but also maybe what, you know, is there something Santa should know before this visit? People can write a letter to Santa, and Santa can have that letter in his hand and show that, like, oh, look at this beautiful picture you drew me, and I'm going to put this on my refrigerator. So it's a really sort of a neat thing. We're really excited about it. We've created some.
Do you think I can talk to Santa?
Absolutely. I would love. I will say if we can get Santa in for a celebrity interview for you.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
I have the hookup, so I will, and I may even be able to get Mrs. Claus there for you too.
Ooh, that would be even better. Bonus time. So tell me, Krista, where do you find joy?
Oh, music. Like sometimes I just turn on music and dance like a crazy person around my house, or
what inspires your dancing? What music inspires your dancing? What do you dance to?
My go-to music is Prince.
All right,
hands
there you go.
down. Always. But I have a playlist on my phone that's literally just called Dance. I have another one that's funk. I love old 70s funk. Cool. So it kind of depends. I have an 80s dance mix. You know, it depends what I'm in the mood for. Prince is hands down my go-to.
Your go-to. All right. Well, thank you so much, Krista Ewbank, founding artistic director, Open Book Theater Company, and host of Santa.
Yes,
we look forward to talking to you. Thank you for being part of Celebrity Interviews with Paul.
Thank you so much for having me.